Everyone knows by now that edge computing and edge-enabled services are going to play a critical role in the digital strategies of enterprises, smart cities, governments, service providers, and more. But how? Well, learning and building from use cases such as those developing in the public safety application space is key, as are partnerships and collaborations. So I'm talking today with Bob Pike, General Manager, Smart Edge Group, Network and Edge Platforms at Intel, and Sukant Acharya, SVP Global Business Leader, IoT and Industry 4.0 at HCL Technologies. So great to have you both with us today. Sukant, let's start with you. So HCL has been a long-standing partner of Intel in engineering, infrastructure, and the networking space. Looking at it from the lens of IoT, how do you see the market opportunity and growth prospect for intelligent edge in the coming years?
Ray, this is a great question, and this is obviously a very relevant topic, and I'm glad to be here to discuss this. You said HCL. Obviously, we have been a leader in the space of engineering infrastructure and helping our clients in digital transformation. We are one of the fastest growing large technology companies, and I think the feather in the cap is we are in the Forbes top 100 list for the best employer to work for. Over the years, we have been working with our clients to build solutions and offer our services in their digital transformation journey. When it comes to intelligent secure edge, I think we're talking about two things. One is bringing intelligence to the edge, close to the source of the data, and leveraging the edge computing to process the data and closing the loop of data to insight to action enablement, and that too in a secured way. So that's all about intelligent secure edge. Now, the advent of IoT and what is happening in the world today, if we see, we are talking about more than 75 billion devices, IoT devices in the market, used by the enterprises, by the public, and so on and so forth. And the amount of data that gets created, which is projected to explode to a level of 180 zettabytes of data in 4 years' time. Now, every bit of that data is not important, right? So therefore, there has to be a strategy on how we actually process the data, how we get the meaningful insight from that data, and how do we get the actionable insights and act on those. But most importantly, the latency, because sometimes the insights, if it is not obtained right in time, it's of no use. So that's where edge computing and smart edge comes in. So you're talking, you would expect that you're talking about preventing a problem in manufacturing quality, preventing a bad product being produced. You are talking about saving lives in the home healthcare and remote healthcare scenarios where the edge computing combined with software as a medical device can actually orchestrate medication for critical care, like cancer patients, like diabetes, like cardiac, and so on and so forth. We are talking about saving lives in a mining scenario where you take care of the scenario, predict any catastrophic event and alert and push those alerts to the workers in the mine to sort of evacuate them and save lives. So from smarter and safer cities, safer schools, better environment, high throughput, better quality, optimized operations, cognitive retail, self-healing machines, self-healing operations, autonomous cars. It's all about edge computing today. So it is, in my view, is the new frontier, the new frontier for innovation and transformation in the digital age. There is projection that in 4 to 5 years, this edge computing market will be $250 billion in size. I'm talking about hardware, software, services, everything combined. But I think the way to think about it is everything that needs to be processed at the source will be processed at the source. And the way we predict that more than 50% of IoT-centric data that gets generated will be processed at the edge.
Now, technologies, especially at the edge, are changing and evolving at a rapid pace. And with this rapid transformation, AI is running closer to where the action is, at the edge. Visual data is a key component that enables users to understand the context around them and take action on that information. Bob, can you share more about edge computing use cases and the work that Intel is doing in this space?
Yes, well, it's Intel's been a leader in this in the world of video inferencing, and it's the most voluminous use case we have for edge. So if you think about, it's really a physics issue, right? The more and more precise we're processing that video stream to be able to take action to the point that Sukant was making instantaneously, we have to do it at the edge. So part of the magic too is being able to take the work that the developer community's done and use it at the edge in a new place, but not put a lot of extra work on them. So the use cases are like, identifying part defects. Sukant really captured a lot of the good ones when he was going through the examples that he had. But it is, I don't know of any edge deployment we have now, which is in the hundreds, where, well, that's not, but I would say the vast majority of them are using some kind of video inferencing. It just is a great way to share what's contextually going on in a, let's say, a scene. So if you can help kind of manage, whether it's on the factory, in the operating room that was described, in a situation where safety is critical, use that video stream in a way, again, where you're getting it instantaneously. So we're working hard in almost every industry, from simple kind of identifying something shouldn't be there kind of use cases to where is inventory, to the more saucier ones where we're identifying part defects. It is just now becoming really exciting for us. And I think the reason it's moving quicker is the edge is taking advantage of what the developers did in the cloud. We're just allowing people to do it in a new place where their experience and the context really matter.
Okay. And how has moving workloads to the edge and the availability of microservices at the edge transformed the experience for developers? And how has Intel brought together technology partners and offerings to enable a seamless end-to-end service?
Intel is working hard with the developer community so they don't have to, they write it once, they can use it in many different places in many different ways. So you're going to see Intel investing heavily in that so that we can facilitate this kind of edge workloads, this kind of functional capability. I think we're working on, let's say, for lack of a better term, helping folks implement things in a way when we're like, let's take, for example, security. Using native microservices for, let's say, the requirements for key or certificate management, making those kind of things efficient and unseen by the developer, taking some of the data that comes out of the network, capturing it in a way that it gets served up to the application that's running on the north. We do that all through microservices. There's always been this yin and yang between distributed as well as centralized. And what we're seeing is with the burgeoning application and opportunity at the edge, we're seeing a swing back to the edge. So we're not just reinventing things, we're trying to help it happen better at the edge. We have one really solid example of where we're working on safety use cases. Safety use cases are just numerous out there, and we have something we're working on in Mexico with HCL, who's been just a great partner on safety. And it's, again, I think it's one of the better use cases, and we've gotten just great results from the community being excited about what the platform and technology is doing. And quite frankly, it's translating into success there, and it's expanding into other markets. But it's really an exciting opportunity. Again, it's a place where the edge matters, right? You gotta have the capacity to manage this kind of workload right at where the action is, because time is of essence.
Now, Sukant, HCL is a global systems integrator with a strong reputation. Given the focus on high volume use cases for intelligent, secure edge solutions, such as in smart cities, transportation, retail, energy, and other critical sectors, how do you plan to scale, deliver, and manage business critical processes for your clients?
Yeah. So I think this is a key word, scale. When we talk about IoT, IIoT, Industry 4.0, smart cities, smart facilities, smart manufacturing, smart mine, you name it, right? These enablement and IoT enabled transformations relies on the art of the possible. The things that were not possible yesterday are possible today. So we are not talking about a small continuous improvement of 3%, 4%, 5%. We are talking about a step change in the innovation and the capabilities that it brings to the table and the outcome that you can actually expect. Going back to, I think Bob, very well explained the Mexico City and the smart city work that jointly we have been doing. So we are talking about crime reduction to the tune of 40%, 50%, 70%. We are not talking about a constant another layer to add where the things will improve by 2%. We are talking about manufacturing quality, the defect reduction by 20%, your obsolescence reduction by 30%. We are talking about safety in the mine improvement by 50%. We are talking about in the oil and gas industry, the oil rig failures or catastrophic events, dramatically reducing by 60 to 70%. So scale is very important when it comes to value delivery in such scenarios. We in HCL IoT Works believe in transformation at scale. In fact, when we look at the transformation, we look from three dimensions. One is our own investments, own capabilities, and products and solutions we bring to the table, essentially in the digital transformation age, and various capabilities we bring to the table. So the first dimension, when it comes to HCL's own investment and capabilities, we have our homegrown methodology called Transcend, which literally translates to transformation at scale with end outcome in mind. Transcend. And the second dimension is with our ecosystem partners. So we continue to invest with our ecosystem partners in building these solutions for scaling. And case in point, with Intel, we established the smart city solution in our labs as a continuous engineering and continuous adaptation solution, which potentially will create in a microservices based architecture, is modular, flexible, and can be easily adapted to various scenarios, various client contexts. We are also expanding into multiple industry vertical use cases, taking the same concept of Intel Smart Edge and leveraging 5G and other technologies. Um, you know, and when we do this, it's not just HCL and Intel. We bring in the other partners like the telcos and the ISPs and the hyperscaler, the cloud platforms, because at the end of the day, it's an ecosystem play. The third dimension is the intervention with the clients. So the critical issue, when I say reimagining the outcome, it's not very easy. So we need to handhold our clients through that journey. And we do that with a co-creation scenario in our what we call as collabs. It's a unique setup where we bring in our partners, we bring in our clients, and we co-create this scenario and combining across multitude of applying the thinking along with the making it pragmatic and making it the tangible stuff coming out and proving a value, what we call as proof of value, and then putting a map for value to scale, value at scale.
So, I mean, obviously, real world examples are absolutely critical in this sector. So, Bob, is the architecture that's been implemented in the Mexico smart city deployment applicable to other vertical use cases such as industrial or retail? And if so, can you help us to understand how?
Yeah, so I think working with HCL, we've kind of built these horizontal functions. Let's say the basic networking, the access. You're clearly managing content. You have workloads running on the top. So the platform is designed to be horizontally rich, but enabling for the individual verticals. So pretty much the existing architecture will work. And like, for example, this particular smart city example, we have other transportation examples where just inventory tracking is critical. Same architecture. Let's say there may be a different access method. Like in the smart city and in Mexico, we have Wi-Fi, or we could have 5G connected, or it could be just tethered cameras. So there is some extensibility from a standpoint of the way you access to context or the action or whatever. There is some extensibility to the applications running there. But basically what you now have is kind of this, engine that allows you to kind of, for lack of a better term, uh, deliver all these wonderful new use cases. Now, I'm telling you, I'm particularly excited about what we're seeing in all the manufacturing use cases because visually, checking things out. And I don't want to go over. Sukant did a great job of talking about most of the really exciting use cases, and those are really beginning to happen now. We're kind of getting to, I don't know if the term crossing the chasm. We're getting to the point now where we're moving away from POC and field tests to real world. So the one I want to end on is retail. I think retail is beginning to have a comeback. The same architecture you see here is connecting to cameras, connecting to other access methods to create a better, let's say, touchless experience, to make it a richer, it's kind of think about how you shop at home. Can we make that out in the wild shopping the same? It's the same technology, but different applications running over the top, right? All the security, because we've worked really hard with HCL team. This is really a very secure environment. If you think about the edge, you better think about security first. So all those horizontal functions translate into these other industries.
Yeah, absolutely. And lots of real world examples emerging in lots of verticals right now. Thanks, Bob. Now, Sukant, IoT, of course, is highly dependent on networks, and latency could impact decision-making abilities. With the advent of 5G, how do you see the convergence of edge, network, and associated applications and the change they can impact on enterprises?
So latency is the key. So we are talking about, if an action can happen at the source, and that's where you actually maximize the value and maximize the return. Um, you know, this is characterized by speed at which we act, and agility to adapt, and ability to do these at scale. So data processing in real time or near real time is key to enable all these and unlock this tremendous value that we are talking about. And case in point, which I think Bob was alluding to, a great example in manufacturing quality. So you are talking about preventing a whole lot of bad parts being manufactured. So and the examples are enormous. I mean, you take any industry, it applies. So to do that, obviously there had been constraints. The type of speed, the type of bandwidth, the network speed, bandwidth, availability, coverage, the latency that you need to you can tolerate in this type of high speed processing of enormous data. There have been constraints. And I think technologies are emerging now with 5G. You have the flexibility and you have the speed, you have the bandwidth, and you have the desired latency requirement in which you can actually process this data. The 5G to transmit SD videos at scale, leveraging high bandwidth and low latency, supports high density of devices per cell, intelligently uses network slicing to prioritize feeds that matter, and help AI-enabled edge processing, which is critical and which is very, very important. So at HCL, we have built even network exposure APIs that we can provide as a service for business to insert and consume applications on demand, which is the next stage of evolution in the network and the 5G, application and analytics space. So I think 5G brings enormous enablement for edge use cases, and it's probably the adoption, starting with private 5G, we are seeing in many industries, including in manufacturing scenarios, and even in oil and gas and in mining, we are seeing those adoptions sort of coming up, and it's only a matter of time, the adoption will actually take the rapid pace.
So, Sukant, how optimistic are you that your partnership with Intel and other ecosystem innovators can help HCL develop even further in the IoT market?
So I think Intel's leadership in technology, and more importantly, technology for the better, smarter world, combined with HCL's leadership in IoT-centric digital transformation, business domain expertise, and execution excellence creates a very compelling recipe of success for our clients. So we have been a dominant player in the engineering domain, in the infrastructure domain, including networks and everything. And we have been partnering with the global 2000 organizations on their digital transformation journey across industry verticals. I think we bring that context, we bring that expertise, and we apply the technology in the context of the business and the domain. At the same time, bring the homegrown technology expertise to complement what Intel brings to the table. So we are very optimistic to work with Intel on this game changing technology and the capabilities and the business centric solutions to drive transformation for our clients.
And Bob, how do you see the relationship with HCL developing?
HCL has just been a fabulous partner. How you design the silicon necessary to support that, the software, I think people have the richness in software assets we have are just substantial. And then working hard with the ISV community to make sure we're optimizing the edge so that it can be consumed. But none of that matters if we can't operationalize it. It doesn't matter if we can't deliver a business outcome. When it really comes down to a CFO somewhere is going to say, hey, what's the financial benefit to me? What is it doing to deliver to the bottom line? And you just can't do that without partners like HCL. I mean, they get it. They got technical competence and they understand. They come to the, in my experience with them, they've come to each of the industry segments with domain knowledge necessary to implement. We've worked with them on things like observability of the platform. I mean, you can have the greatest technology in the world, but if you can't operate it effectively and save money and deliver business outcomes, it just doesn't matter. And with HCL, we're confident that that's what we'll do. We'll deliver solid solutions that help each of our clients win.
Well, it sounds like a great partnership that's only going to get stronger. Bob, Sukant, thanks very much for joining us today and sharing your insights. Thanks very much. And don't forget to watch the other programs in the Intel Network Builders vSummit series. As well as Edge, we're taking an in-depth look at the network core, vRAN and security. Thanks for watching and goodbye.